Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the New Jersey UFO. This UFO sighting took place in 2001 just above the New Jersey Turnpike. On July 14th, 2001, just after midnight for around 15 minutes, motorists driving down this highway stopped to stare at the sky to witness what no one could believe. There were strange orange and yellow lights in a V formation just above the Arthur Kill waterway. There were a ton of witnesses who were all extremely confused and shocked as to what they were seeing. Air traffic controllers initially denied that there were any flying objects that could have caused the mysterious lights, but a group that is called the New York Strange Phenomena Investigators claimed that they received radar data that night that would corroborate the story that the witnesses were telling. It may not have been aliens, but it certainly was some sort of unidentified flying object that no one had ever seen before, and there were people from all walks of life witnessing it together.
Coming in at number 9, if I were you, I'd get your camping gear ready. Write down a list of wishes and head out to the wilderness to witness the PERSEID meteor shower set to occur on August 11th and 12th. They usually happen only once a year and is considered the meteor shower of the year. It is known as one of the most plentiful meteor showers, with over 50 to 100 meteor showers raining from the sky. That's potentially 100 wishes to make. PERSEIDs are also known for creating fireballs, larger explosions of light that last longer than the average meteor. It should be viewable in Ontario and northern Quebec. So hopefully that works for you. The best viewing time is right before dawn, so stay up late or wake up early. Grab a cup of joe and a blanket and witness the magic. Coming in at number 8, if you think thunderstorms only happen on Earth, well, you're dead wrong. Obviously. Considering the last 2 weeks have been rain city, thunderstorms feel a little too common right now. But this thunderstorm not only occurs on a different planet, there have only been 6 recorded since 1876. The Great White Thunderstorm on Saturn occurs 1 every 29.5 Earth years. They are massive convective storms that appear as giant white blobs on the planet's observable surface. The last recorded storm was in 2010, which means within our lifetime we should see another one around 2040-ish. Just enough time for you to get a big awesome telescope so you can catch the wondrous event in your very backyard. And coming in at number 7, volcanoes, aka the pimples of the Earth's crust, or at least that's how I see them. Volcanoes may look just like your average Himalayan mountains, but are actually slumbering giants of destruction. There are many across the planet that are overdue to pop, some having not been disturbed for thousands of years. However, scientists have a list of volcanoes they are carefully watching that they think might explode in our lifetime. One such volcano is Mount Shasta in California, which last erupted in 1786 and is considered one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the US. Mount Paektu in North Korea last erupted in 1903, and scientists also think it's almost ready, especially considering nuclear explosions nearby may have triggered it. Hopefully we don't experience these in our lifetime, but we better be ready if we do. Coming in at number 6, calling all Mark Twain fans. I know I reported this one on one of my previous videos, and apparently I said the name wrong. Sue me. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, I thought it was Holly's or Haley's. I don't know. To be fair, my roommates and I got into a fight about how it's pronounced, and even the internet is indecisive on how it's pronounced, so I'm gonna say it both ways. Anyways, Holly's comet became famous when Mark Twain tied his life and destiny to it, considering his life both began and ended in both the years it visited our lonely planet Earth. So this news is mostly for anyone born in 1986, as that was the last year Haley's comet was seen, and it's said to come back in 2061. Hopefully you don't pull a Mark Twain and you live longer than that, but be sure to mark it down anyways. Coming in at number 5, an aquatic rainfall. It's Raining Men by the aptly named Weather Girls is an iconic anthem and has the power to summon even the most deeply rooted wallflowers to the dance floor. Remember dances, guys? Those were fun. Anyways, but perhaps tadpoles or frogs might have been more accurate because though rare, it has been known to happen. Powerful thunderstorms, tornadoes, and waterspouts have powerful updrafts and can be known to sweep aquatic animals along with birds and insects up into the sky. But what goes up must come down, and one day you could be sitting down in a cafe and piles of frogs land on the canopy above you. Nobody knows when this is going to happen, and it doesn't always happen every time there's a thunderstorm. It's rare, which is why it's on this list. But the fact that it could happen anywhere means one day it might just happen to you. I honestly don't know which is more rare, raining frogs or being able to sit in a cafe. Coming in at number 4, this next one is definitely going to happen in our lifetime, as it's happening this very month. On May 26th, a total lunar eclipse is set to occur. A total lunar eclipse is when the closest and biggest full moon of the year will sweep through the Earth's dark umbral shadow. Total lunar eclipses like this one carry with them a wealth of lore and myths from around the world. The Mesopotamians believed that this was an attack on the moon by 7 demons, while today the Batamalima people in Togo and Benin believe that this is a time for people to come together and resolve feuds and their anger. The last time an event like this occurred on a supermoon was 2.5 years ago, so make sure to make it count. Coming in at number 3, we have triple Jovian eclipse. Next up, we have not 1, not 2, but 3 eclipses, except it's not on the moon, it's on Jupiter. The triple Jovian eclipse is really rare and can be identified by 3 black dots lined up on the surface of Jupiter. The black dots are 3 Galilean moons, Io, Callisto, and Ganymede. Jupiter has 16 moons in total, and the 3 mentioned are among the biggest in its orbit. The last time this happened was in 2004. It was spotted by the Hubble Space Telescope, but because it moves so fast over Jupiter's surface, it's been difficult for researchers to capture the entire event. But as the next Jovian eclipse is set to happen in 2032, they hope they'll be able to capture it in more detail. Coming in at number 2, a total solar eclipse. Unfortunately, you can't look at this bad boy straight on, so get ready to get crafty. The next total solar eclipse is set to appear in 2045. They are super rare, and the last one happened in 2017. Imagine where you'll be in 2045 and make sure you've got some proper eyewear with you. A total solar eclipse is when the new moon passes between the sun and the earth and casts the darkest part of the shadow on the earth. It looks like a disc is blocking the sun, but if you look at it straight on, you may go blind, so don't do that. But if you can, find a way. During annular and partial eclipses, the moon is only blocking part of the sun, but during this one, the whole world is cast in darkness, like the shortest night. As for the specific date, we don't know yet, so make sure to set a reminder for your future self to keep an eye out. Or don't. Keep your eyes shut. Don't look at it. And last but not least, number 1. Now this last one is not a natural phenomenon, but one we've started to create, and just how rare it will be in the future all depends on how far we go. When humankind first landed on the moon, it made the stars above us seem that much closer. And they keep getting closer. It takes a lot for humans to go to space, and it feels like we've been waiting a while to go to the moon. Because we have. It has been over 50 years since astronauts last set foot on the moon. But guess what? The next one is sooner than you think. The Artemis program is set to put boots on the moon, hopefully by 2024, though some expect it may even be as early as 2022, next year. Considering the year we've had, it's a wonderful thing to look forward to. It will also be the first time a woman and a person of color has ever set foot on the moon. But this time, they aren't just going to visit, they plan to stay for a while. While Apollo 17 only spent 3 days, Artemis plans to extend the trip to weeks, even maybe months. In February 2020, NASA began rigorous tests on the spacecraft Orion, which is equipped with life support systems and shuttle interfaces. It will dock with the Lunar Gateway, which will serve as the astronauts' base when exploring the moon. If this all goes well, their next plan is to launch a team to Mars. Coming in at number 10, flying in a window. If you've ever given up the window seat for your toddler when you fly together, fear not. One day, everyone will have a window seat, as Technicon Design in France and UK's Centre for Process Innovation wants to offer a panoramic view of the sky. But don't worry, the plane won't be entirely made of glass. It will merely be a convincing simulation created by cameras placed on the outside of the plane. The hope is that passengers will feel as though they are walking on air, and it will also make planes lighter. I can't imagine this would be a very pleasant experience for anyone who is terrified of heights, but for all window seat lovers like me, this would certainly be a breath of fresh air for those long flights.
In our number 9 spot today, we have blood rain. Between July 25th and September 23rd of 2001, people in southern India were experiencing one of the most strange weather phenomena I've ever heard of. It is said that after a loud boom in the sky, rain started to fall in the region, but this rain was different from your average run-of-the-mill rain. This rain was blood red, with some reports saying that there was also black, green, and even yellow rain. Does this sound like something out of a science fiction movie? Yes. Is it cause for concern? Thankfully, likely not. There have been similar reports of rainfall like this from around the world, which doesn't necessarily make it feel any less unsettling, but scientists do know 2 reasons for how this happens. The raindrops are getting stained by one of 2 things, either dust from a nearby desert, or a form of microscopic algae that is suspended in the raindrops, causing the color change. You might be wondering where the whole mystery in this one is. Well, that lies in how we have absolutely no idea idea how algae is getting into the clouds and thus into our rain. A theory for this is that perhaps the algae is alien or extraterrestrial and has been hitching a ride on meteors entering our atmosphere, but because the DNA of the algae matches that of a type found in waters all over the world, scientists are skeptical of that idea, so it all remains very much an unsolved scientific mystery. In our number 8 spot today we have the Taos hum. In the small city of Taos, New Mexico, for years, residents and visitors alike have been puzzled by a mysterious sound in the air that no one can quite find the source of. It is said that only about 2% of residents reported hearing this low-frequency desert hum, and the theories as to what could be going on here truly are endless. They range from believing it's caused by some sort of unusual acoustics, all the way to mass hysteria and other far more sinister top-secret theories. Things are further confused by the fact that those who hear the sounds actually hear many different sounds, meaning that it might be more of a subjective experience rather than an objective sound. At this point, it is so unclear we may never truly get any kind of answer that we're looking for. In our number 7 spot today we have witchcraft. This story is one that is so strange and mysterious and unsettling that I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since the first time I heard it. On December 22nd, 1967, a cabin cruiser called Witchcraft left from Miami with 2 people on board. The 2 men were taking a trip so that they could enjoy the Christmas lights on a 23-foot luxury yacht, truly living the dream. That all changed very quickly, however, when the men were just 1 mile offshore and the Coast Guard received a call from the captain stating that they had struck something. He said that there was no substantial damage, but still, hitting something is usually not great. The Coast Guard set out immediately to help tow the ship back to shore, and it didn't even take 20 minutes for him to arrive, but when he got to the location, he couldn't spot the Witchcraft anywhere. The area that was indicated as the ship's location was completely deserted, and there was no indication that anyone had been there even recently. What is extra strange about this is that not only was the ship apparently virtually unsinkable, but there were also numerous flotation devices and life rafts, as well as emergency equipment like flares and distress signals. No one ever saw any sign of them being used, and the ship was just gone. Officials searched hundreds of square miles in the next few days, but no one has ever found any sign of the Witchcraft. I just don't know how they could be so close, the timing was so short, and they still just completely vanished. It honestly gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. In our number 6 spot today we have ball lightning. This is a mystery that has been around for long before our lifetime, but it still happens today and we just aren't exactly sure what to make of it or how it occurs. Ball lightning is basically like a glowing orb, a mysterious ball of light that glows and crackles and hovers there, and it usually appears during thunderstorms. These glowing balls have been seen by people in their homes, on airplanes, apparently some people have even seen them passing through windows. Ball lightning is absolutely fascinating, but it has scientists stumped. They are the most mysterious weather phenomena on this planet. Ball lightning usually only appears for a few seconds, but here's the thing. It's impossible to predict when and where it'll show up. You don't choose ball lightning chooses you. It's quite rare, but people and scientists alike have experienced it. It has been attempted to be created in labs, but no one can figure out the exact formula that creates it, so I guess you just have to wait and see if you're one of the lucky ones. In our number 5 spot today we have the SOMERTON Man. The SOMERTON Man is an unidentified man who was found perished on the Somerton Park beach in South Australia in 1948. Since then his case, who he is, and what happened to him has been a mystery plaguing authorities and all those who are now invested in the case and its secrets. Public interest in the case arose in part due to how mysterious it was, but also because of the fact that the death occurred in a time of heightened international tension. The mysteries surrounding this one span more than just who this man was, however. Firstly, it is unclear how this man passed away. Was it some sort of undetectable poison? How could no one have any idea despite being able to examine the body? The next mystery is that a secret little note was found in his pocket that was torn from a book. The note in his pocket read "To Mom Should," which means is over or is finished. It's a little ominous, but is the note connected to the case or is it just a weird coincidence? We don't know. Earlier this year, the body of the SOMERTON Man was actually exhumed in order for DNA testing to be done, as we of course have much more technology and DNA databases than we did at the time of his burial. While we haven't had any updates yet, maybe this exhumation means that this one isn't impossible to solve? I guess we'll all just have to wait and see. In our number 4 spot today we have the CATATUMBO lightning. Okay, so basically the opposite of ball lightning, the elusive glowing orbs, we have this kind of lightning that is a around almost too often. Basically, this lightning occurs over the CATATUMBO River, and it's a complete atmospheric phenomenon. This lightning occurs 140 to 160 nights a year, 9 hours per day, and from 16 to 40 times per minute. That is absolutely insane. That is so much lightning. That's almost a lightning strike a second. Another thing that's so fascinating about this lightning is that it is colorful and it doesn't produce any thunder. The lightning does change its frequency up from time to time, and at one point it stopped for a few weeks and people thought that maybe it was going to have been exhausted forever, but that changed when the lightning came back, putting it right back on our list of mysteries that we just can't quite figure out. Many people have studied the lightning, trying to figure out exactly how it has been created and what makes this phenomena what it is, but we aren't just quite sure yet. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Zodiac Killer. This one had to make it on this list because although these stories are terrifying and horrible, the story of the uncaught and unidentified serial killer known as the Zodiac truly is one of the most mysterious. The Zodiac Killer took the lives of 5 people in the San Francisco Bay Area between December 1968 and October of 1969. He was most known for targeting young couples or a lone male cab driver. Despite 2 people luckily and thankfully escaping his attempted evil doings, he has still never been caught. He was one of those weird ones who left notes and stuff for the police to find, and there are of course many people who think that the Zodiac has been identified. I'm sure we'll see some of them in the comments, hi. But while no one has heard from the Zodiac since 1974, the case remains active in many different counties and it is yet to be officially solved. In our number 2 spot today, we have D.B. Cooper. This is a case I have mentioned here before on this channel. In fact, I talked about this guy in my very first video I ever did here, but we had to bring it back because it truly is one of the most baffling mysteries of our lifetime. On November 24th, 1971, a man who said his name was Dan Cooper boarded a flight from Portland to Seattle. Once the plane was in the air, Cooper handed a note to the flight attendant who dropped it into her purse without even opening it. Cooper leaned over and whispered, "Miss, you'd better look at that note. I have a bomb," which is probably number 1 on the list of the top 10 things no flight attendant ever wants to hear. After showing her the bomb, he began to list his demands, which were $200,000, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck standing by in Seattle to refuel the plane for when they arrived. At 5:39 p.m., the aircraft landed at Seattle-Tacoma Airport. After receiving the items he had requested, Cooper ordered all the passengers and some of the flight attendants to leave the plane. The plane then took off again, and when it landed in Reno, Nevada, Cooper wasn't on it. The search for Cooper was one of the most extensive in US history, but he has never been located, and no one knows who he really was or what happened to him after this whole ordeal. Maybe DB knew something we all don't and he vanished into another universe? If so, why did he have to hijack a plane to do so? It truly is one of our biggest mysteries that may never get solved. In our number 1 spot today, we have the USS Princeton UFO. This is a UFO sighting that comes from 2004. On November 14th of that year, the USS Princeton noticed an unknown aircraft of some sort that was about 100 miles off of the coast of San Diego. For 2 weeks prior to this, the crew had been tracking a strange flying object that would start out at around 80,000 feet before extremely quickly dropping to hover right above the Pacific Ocean. Black Aces Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Jim Slate of Strike Fighter Squadron 41 went over in 2 fighter jets in order to kind of scope out the situation, and when they arrived they saw what at first appeared to be churning water while there was an oval shape just below the surface. After this, a white oval shaped object appeared above the water, but it had no markings on it. Like no windows, nothing that would indicate an engine, no wings, and the infrared monitors on the jets didn't pick up any sort of exhaust. The commander and lieutenant commander tried to intercept this strange aircraft, but it very quickly flew away and it reappeared on the monitor 60 miles away. Like when I say quickly, I mean it was moving at 3 times the speed of sound and over twice the speed of fighter jets. So faster than any kind of technology we currently have. We still don't know exactly what this is, but I'm sure a lot of us are thinking the same thing.
Starting with number 10, ever heard of the phrase once in a blue moon? Well, there's a reason for that. Blue moons are actually fairly common and usually occur every 2 years. Full moons follow a 12-month cycle, though it takes around 29.5 for the cycle to complete, meaning the 12 full cycles occur every 354 days, 11 days short of a full year. So eventually an extra 13th moon occurs known as the blue moon. But what's actually even more rare are 2 blue moons in 1 year. The last time this occurred was in 2018, and scientists anticipate that this will happen again in 2037. So keep a tally and make sure to catch all 14 that year. Number 9, the days will be longer. So I'm not just talking about the summer solstice here. Our days are actually going to get longer, albeit not by much, but still, ask any parent, an extra second before bedtime makes a huge difference. Every 100 years we gain around 1.7 milliseconds. The reason this happens is because of the ocean's tides generated by the gravity of the sun and the moon. As the moon slowly spirals away from Earth, it essentially takes the energy out of Earth's orbit, slowing it down. This is a very simplistic explanation, but essentially the whole thing can be blamed on the effects of gravity. But a lot of us who feel there are not enough hours in the day wish it was more, but still, our children, then our children's children, then our children's children's children just might get that wish. It is kind of crazy to think that this is happening slowly every day. Number 8, imagine being able to check your email, tweet, or post to Instagram all with the blink of an eye. It appears phone screens, or any screen for that matter, are determined to be so small they're almost invisible. If you're worried about your kids having too much screen time, well, keep an eye out for when smart contact lenses hit the playground. Samsung is determined to one-up the Google Lens, which was released in 2014, and they may be closer than you think. Researchers have inserted a light-emitting diode in a newly developed material that is a stretchy combination of graphene and silver nanowires that is not only transparent, but highly conductive. Beyond potentially using them to read emails, but then still finding an excuse not to reply right away, medically, these technical wonders could be really helpful. At the University of Illinois, researchers are currently using the graphene nanowire conductors to make biosensors to help monitor the overall health of the eyes. They're also being used to help filter light in specific ways to help a variety of vision problems. Coming in at number 7, AI robots. So if you watched my previous video about robots who will take over the world, then you know that AI robotics is making some serious strides. So it could be that by the time our children are grown up, that their best friend could be a robot. In fact, we are already in a stage of co-evolution. Sam Altman, who is president of the Y Combinator, says, and I quote, "Oh yeah, we're making robots that are way too smart. We're all doomed. We will be the first species ever to design our own descendants." Look, it is pure human arrogance if we don't think we will be able to build something that is smarter than us. It's gonna happen either way, by accident or on purpose. Most people believe that AI robots could create a form of subhuman either as early as 2025 or 2075. Neuroscientist and geostrategist Dr. Naif Al-Rodin even said that it's only a matter of time before we create transhumans, improved versions of ourselves that could threaten their non-advanced selves, so they'll look to destroy them. Number 6, self-driving cars. Everyone knows how exciting it is to turn 16 and finally get behind the wheel of a car for the first time, legally. And every parent knows the feeling of having to lend your car out to someone who's only been driving for a year. Yay! But there is a possibility that in future, both these experiences could be eradicated with self-driving cars. Many high-tech companies like Tesla and Waymo boasted that millions of these vehicles would be on the roads by now, but that's not the case yet, because the cars rely on AI to work, and though we've made massive strides in that field, as I said, AI still can't improvise and solve real-world problems. In order to do this, the computers have to collect hundreds, thousands of hours of data of real people driving cars to get an understanding of how to navigate unpredictable situations. So it doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but it's just going to take a little longer. Will it be just in time for your child's 16th birthday? Who knows? But scientists are definitely on the way. Number 5, lab-grown meat. Imagine digging into a juicy burger or pound after pound of spicy chicken wings with none of the guilt. Scientists are currently working on ethical lab-grown meat that will eradicate the need for slaughterhouses altogether. As our population approaches 10 billion people, feeding that many stomachs poses a massive challenge that we just won't have the space for. On top of the fact that going vegan or vegetarian isn't always accessible to some either by cost or lifestyle choice, meat is still a necessity. In fact, scientists expect the demand for meat to rise by 88% between now and 2050, which would mean we would need a pastoral land the size of India to cope. So what's the alternative solution? Stem cells! Yay! Scientists will take stem cells from a live animal and grow them in a nutrient-rich bioreactor with cell culture media. The biomass will then be separated into muscle and fat cells, then processed for final product. Our dinner! I know it sounds more chemical than appetizing, but these will be a healthy and cruelty-free option for so many who require meat for their diets. Personally, I'm 100% down. I'm in. It's cool. Chiok Meats is a company based in Singapore that is one example of a startup company who can grow seafood crustaceans 4 times faster than the traditional method. So if it ends up being even better, Hell yeah. Number 4, communicating with the dead. Okay, did anyone else binge the show Upload on Amazon Prime or San Junipero? Let me know in the comments if you did. If you didn't, the show centers around the idea that people can upload their consciousness to an afterlife that can be interacted with by the living, which may be closer to reality than we thought. Ray Kurzweil, futurist and director at Google, thinks it is possible that we will be able to create a virtual reality where avatars of our deceased loved ones exist. They may even be so realistic that we could interact with them. He's experimenting by uploading photos and letters from his father, saying that the avatar he creates will know his father's entire past. Theoretically, not the same thing at all. And I wonder, could this cause more harm than good? I'm sure all of us have someone in our lives we wish we could speak with just one more time, but what happens if we can never let go? Now, before we review our top 3, remember to press that like button if you're excited to see what's next and if you want more videos like this. All right, coming in at number 3, internet for everyone. You get internet and you get internet, and hey, you over there, you get internet too. Yeah, imagine never having to run out of data while using Google Maps in a new city or out in the boonies somewhere. Well, Starlink hopes to make that happen, and maybe even as soon as the end of this year. Once again, we've got Elon Musk on our list because love him or hate him, wherever there are big ideas, Musk seems to be attached to them. Starlink is an internet service that hopes to bring high-speed, low-latency broadband internet globally. It's still in its beta stages, but as Starlink continues to launch satellites and ground stations, the service is only going to improve with maybe a few setbacks. Either way, whether it's Starlink or another competitor, our future generations may not know what it is like to stand on a chair holding her phone up to the air to just get Wi-Fi connection. Just like some kids already don't know what dial-up is. Number 2, we will have the ability to transfer thoughts telekinetically. Sounds far-fetched, doesn't it? But actually, it's already happened. According to an article in the Smithsonian Magazine in 2014, a recent telekinetic experiment had a person from India say hola and ciao to 3 other people in France. The remarkable accomplishment was a combined effort from Barcelona Research Institute Starlab, French firm Axiom Robotics, and Harvard Medical School. But don't worry, the purpose of this technology is not to hack our thoughts, but to allow people to communicate in limited situations for those who can't speak anymore or have sensory impairments. But we still have a long way to go. Though the experiment was successful, it's still a pretty complicated way to say hello. First, the team had to translate letters into a binary equivalent. Then a sender with sensors attached to their head had to move their hands to indicate the message. The receiver was then blindfolded and their head fixed to a transcranial magnetic stimulation, which is a non-invasive headset often used to treat depression. And the stimulation from the headset caused him to see flashes of light, kind of like Morse code, and from there it was translated into text. So, long process. The whole thing took a total of 70 seconds. Imagine if you lost the ability to speak or had to communicate silently over a long distance. Either way, it's easy to imagine that this technology might be perfected within our kids' lifetime. Hopefully, they've passed their teenage years because no parent wants to know what their kids are thinking at that age. And lastly, number 1, we might no longer be on Earth. Look, you can still tell your child that they can be whatever they want to be when they grow up, as long as astronaut is hyphenated, like actor, astronaut, doctor, astronaut, shoemaker, astronaut. The late Stephen Hawking wasn't alone when he made the prediction that in the next 100 years, due to climate change, humanity will have to leave Earth. If not climate change, then pandemics, I know, been there, done that, but likely to happen again, population growth, and even overdue asteroids give us good reasons to expand our living space. With the next moon landing testing our limitations for long-term habitation on the moon, and $3 trillion being invested in the International Space Station, it is possible that our children or great-grandchildren will have to have a bag packed ready for space at any time.